We have to go. This dropship is about to explode. We have to go now. Come on! The ship is going to explode! What are you doing?
Find me when you wake up.
What?
Come find me when you wake up.
Hi, I'm Tom Rogers. I'm a time travel expert, and today I'll be reviewing some of your favorite scenes from time travel movies.
I'm Bill. This is Ted. We're from the future.
Some of the positives of this movie is the fact that we get to see multiple jumps into multiple time periods, kind of like Time Bandits.
All we are is dust in the wind, dude. Dust. Wind. Dude.
Himes, uten ano, Blanconiotos.
I know this movie's a comedy, it's kind of silly, but it does a good job of showing the possibility of how many theories, inventions, and discoveries by some of the greatest minds on Earth may have been influenced by time travelers. The biggest problem I have is the teleporting phone booth. It's just too primitive, it's a rip-off of a TARDIS, so I can only give it a 5 out of 10. Okay, let's shift gears from comedy to romance movie. Here we're going to show a clip from Somewhere in Time.
I think we shouldn't cut the mask. You know, we save those for later.
No, those faces are nice. Just leave them like that and cut them next time.
Come back to me. Who was she?
I never saw her in my life.
What did she give you?
Adding romance to a time travel movie is an intriguing concept, but it seldom works. There are so many variables and issues that can really throw a wrench in things. I've never been able to get it to work. No matter how much you might care for someone, it just seems kind of creepy because you're not on equal ground. You've got all this information of the past and the future, and that person is just like a little child with such limited knowledge, it's really hard to connect with them. This is a good movie, but again, they're way off when it comes to the science behind the time travel mechanism, so I can only give this 4 out of 10 stars.
I'll show you how it works. All right. First, you turn the time circuits on. This readout tells you where you're going, this one tells you where you are, this one tells you where you were. You input your destination time on this keypad. This is what makes time travel possible. The flux capacitor.
Flux capacitor.
Things have certainly changed around here. I remember when this was all farmland as far as the eye could see.
Okay, let's pause this right here for a second. As much as I love this movie, it's a little insulting to insinuate that a flux capacitor can contribute to time travel anywhere as effectively as a cohesion beam or a vortex wave. So that part, I just gotta throw out. It's hard to forgive.
What? You're George McFly. Yeah, who are you?
Okay, this is good. One thing that this film got right is the complexity of interacting with others. In fact, when it comes to the butterfly effect, I would say this movie is the gold standard of showing how going back in time and interacting with others in the past can really mess up the future. Trust me, you have to be really careful and tread very lightly when you're interacting with others in the past, especially if it's someone from your family, and heaven forbid, coming across yourself. Also, just a side note, no experienced time traveler would ever make a jump taking money or ID or anything like that with them. It's just going to open a can of worms. Now, despite the faulty science, Back to the Future, it's a classic. I would say I still give it 7 out of 10 stars.
We were attempting to use concentrated bursts of energy to enhance the sensitivity of optical telescopes. In the process, we had a breakthrough. Given enough energy, we could warp the very fabric of space.
I said, explain it to me, not talk science. Look, all right, I'll tell you what. Why don't you guys just keep talking? I'll just sit here until you figure out what it is you really want to tell me.
They found a way to fold space back onto itself.
We're used to viewing space as flat, right? Like this piece of paper. To see something from a distance, light has always had to travel the long way across the flat space in between. But given what I was trying to explain, we could fold the space bring the target closer to us, create what's known as an Einstein-Rosen bridge, otherwise known as a wormhole, suspend it via gravitational field.
Okay, so we are finally starting to get more realistic technology here. This film, Deja Vu, came out, I believe, 2006. Here you can see a very primitive predecessor for the reticular multipliers, which came out in late 2025. They did a good job with this movie, even though they had to dumb down the explanation of the wormhole for the audience. Also, I'm a big Denzel Washington fan, and it's hard not to like it. I give it 8 out of 10. How can you not like Denzel? I was so happy to see him finally surpass Tom Hanks, winning more career Oscars, so that was great. But anyway, great movie.
I'm going to tell you a story, General, and first it's going to sound ridiculous, but the longer I talk, the more rational it's going to appear. Tell him you call back.
Tell who?
Major General Beaumont calling from Halifax. His plane's just been delayed. Bad weather.
Yes. Thank you, Bones. I'll call you back.
Tomorrow's invasion is a slaughter. I'm dead within 5 minutes of landing on that beach, along with every other soldier you are sending. Now I live the same day over and over again, just like they do. Just like Sergeant Vertasky at Verdun. Tell your secretary everything's fine.
Beg your pardon?
I'm sorry, General. I thought you were alone.
It's fine.
She typed up those orders for you to authorize, but she left out the ones referring to the fuel dump at Greenwich. Tell the General his dinner's just been canceled. The call came in just now.
Your dinner was cancelled.
You forgot the fuel dump. Thank you, artist. That'll be all.
General, this isn't the first time we've had this conversation. That's because you're stubborn.
Okay. All right, one of the most frustrating things about time travel is being caught in a temporal loop like Groundhog Day or Edge of Tomorrow. You get so desperate to break out of that day you're stuck in. A novice traveler may panic, but an expert traveler, they're going to do a couple things. They're going to get busy to work, studying, experimenting with lots of different variables and scenarios and outcomes. Their repetition is a great teacher. So that's one thing this movie does a good job of. Some movies might glorify being stuck in the same day over and over, but it is psychologically draining and it is very stressful. It's like being in prison. Now what happens eventually when you realize you have temporary immortality, you quickly lose your inhibitions, you start taking risks, being more bold in your moves, and that's when you're going to start seeing progress for breaking out of that. Okay, on a quick side note though, when you die in a time loop, you need to make sure that no variables change your reset capabilities. I've had a couple close calls and it is very frightening. So they do a pretty accurate job of showing how to learn from your mistakes. I'll give this movie 7 out of 10. Okay, let's stop that there. The Terminator movies, they do a pretty good job of showing what can happen when artificial intelligence turns on us. But as you would expect from Hollywood, there's always the hype, there's more special effects and action than what really happened or will happen. For instance, in this clip, they're showing this laser battle. People need to understand, AI didn't fire one shot. They took over with cryptocurrency and social media, just under the table. And so because it's so misleading, I can only give this 4 out of 10 stars. All right, that was my breakdown on some of these time travel movies. Feel free to leave some of your favorite movies dealing with time travel in the comments, and I will see you at the movies. Well, at least for another 2.5 years until the cinematic censorship laws go into effect.